Well, welcome to the 700 Club. Israeli forces have begun their operation in Rafah, the last Hamas stronghold in the Gaza Strip. And the IDF is calling on Gazans to seek shelter in humanitarian safe zones.
Well, the operation comes as ceasefire negotiations hit a roadblock. Hamas claimed that it accepted an Israeli proposal. The truth is, it added new conditions unacceptable to the Jewish state. Chris Mitchell reports from Jerusalem.
Tuesday morning, Israeli forces captured the strategic Rafah border crossing between Egypt and the southern Gaza Strip. Israeli armored vehicles also reach the Philadelphia corridor, the location of many smuggling tunnels that bring in arms and ammunition for Hamas. The operation began after Hamas claimed to accept a ceasefire agreement, but Israel said it's not the proposal they offered.
It appears as if Hamas approved a deal that wasn't on the table, and that they approved conditions that are convenient to them, but not to Israel.
Reportedly, one of those conditions included an end to the war, something Israel has never agreed to.
I think that what Hamas is trying to do is a classic textbook type of deception, where they want the headlines to be, Hamas approved the deal, Israel is refusing, and I think that's what they're aiming for. Hopefully, global media won't fall for that.
While Israel has agreed to continue negotiations in Cairo, its war cabinet unanimously voted to begin operations in Rafah.
At the same time, we continue our operations in the Gaza Strip and will continue to do so.
As the fighting around Rafah begins, some Gazans are fleeing the city to humanitarian safe zones set up by the IDF to get them out of harm's way.
Tonight, we also call upon those staying in specific areas, which we have communicated and defined through every means, radio, media, internet and flyers, in eastern Rafah, to move towards the expanded humanitarian area in Al-Mawasi and Khan Yunis, where they will receive full humanitarian aid and where water, food, medical equipment and shelter will be provided.
Former IDF spokesman Jonathan Kenrikas explains the challenges facing the IDF in Rafah.
First of all, the IDF has telegraphed its intentions for more than 4 months. So the enemy should be very well prepared and anticipating the attack. Second, densely populated urban terrain with an enemy that uses civilian infrastructure in order to fight from. So it's going to be as challenging as Gaza City and Khan Yunis, and perhaps even more.
Before the operation, this video surfaced of soldiers praying and blowing the shofar. Monday, President Biden warned Israel's Benjamin Netanyahu against a full-scale invasion of Rafah. In Washington today, President Biden will speak at the annual Holocaust Memorial Ceremony on Capitol Hill, citing the moral duty of people and nations to combat rising anti-Semitism. With threats against Jews spiking, the U.S. government is making an extra $400 million available to places like synagogues to increase their security. Just this past Saturday, 3 synagogues in New York City received bomb threats. Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Keep in mind that the IDF is creating humanitarian zones. They're also creating corridors for humanitarian aid. And in all of that, Hamas is the one trying to shut it down. Hamas is the one that's at fault here. They're the ones who attacked on October 7th. They're the ones who have vowed to repeat October 7 again and again and again until Israel doesn't exist. If you're in Israel, if you're an Israeli, what would you do in that instance? I know in America, if someone across our borders says these kinds of things and is doing this kind of action, I know our response would be immediate and would be overwhelming. That is what Israel has a right to do and a right to self-defense. But keep it in mind, Hamas is the problem. Are they still firing rockets at Israel? I'm amazed they still have the capability to do it, but they're doing it. Are they firing mortars at IDF soldiers trying to create humanitarian corridors? Yes, they are. As the U.S. forces were trying to build a pier so the humanitarian aid could go into Gaza, who fired against them? Hamas did. Let us keep all of these things in mind. Hamas is the enemy. Hamas has to unconditionally surrender, give over all the hostages, then there can be peace. If you care about the citizens of Gaza, put the pressure on Hamas.